Thank you for listening to the Luminous Recovery Yoga podcast, hosted by Kari. The views and opinions expressed here are strictly those of the person who gave them. Take what you like and leave the rest. These views and opinions do not represent any specific 12-step program, only my experience, strength, and hope in recovering from the dis-ease of addiction and codependency. If you'd like to learn more, please visit my website at www.luminousrecoveryyoga.com. Hello, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Luminous Recovery Yoga podcast. I'm so happy that you're taking the time to just share this space, listen, and maybe contemplate something that you hear today that maybe helps you reframe or just consider something in a new way. I find that when I share my experience, strength, and hope, just what's going on in the world for me, how I perceive life, sometimes it helps somebody. So this is really just a space to listen, to reflect, and to see if there's anything that you hear today that works for you. And as always, please remember, take what you like and leave the rest. Just a quick note that I create a special PDF for each episode. So if you go into the show notes or the description, depending on if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watching this on YouTube, that there's a special PDF in the description of this video. And it's really just a nice accompaniment, a companion guide to the episode. There are questions in there for your consideration. I even create spaces for you to write things down. And of course, you don't have to write those things down, but if you hear some things in here that you want to reflect on for yourself, that PDF is a guide for the episode so that you can consider these things for yourself. If you are a subscriber to my email list, then you will get an email every Monday with an alert of the new podcast, and plus you get that PDF in the email. So if you sign up for the email once or for the PDF once, then you will receive that email on Mondays with the PDF guide always in it. So please sign up. It would be awesome to have you on my subscribers list, and you'll be the first to hear about everything that's coming out. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into the episode. So today I want to talk about gratitude, and I say it almost like cringy, not because I think gratitude is cringy, but it's presented in a way that feels real cringy to me very often. I don't like things that feel phony or contrived. I don't want to have gratitude forced on me. It aggravates me. So, it's that time of year where Thanksgiving just happened and we're coming up on Christmas and other winter holidays, and there is this urging to be grateful. And I get it. And I want to asterisk this just to start. I have a gratitude practice. I am grateful, but I do not like having gratitude shoved down my throat. I don't like gratitude being presented as a way to ignore the pain or ignore the real hard things that are happening. I often find that gratitude feels like it's supposed to be this counteracting thing to suffering. And it is. And I just don't like the way it's often presented. I don't like being told to be grateful. It just really annoys me. And maybe you can relate and maybe you don't. Maybe you think I'm an asshole, and that's okay too. What other people think of me is none of my business. I'm just here sharing my experience of it. And, my experience tends to be, and, we are modern 21st century people. Most of us are on social media in some way, even if you're one of those LinkedIn geniuses. I think that LinkedIn is for geniuses because I can't seem to figure it out. But there is this urging to be grateful and to make a gratitude list. And if you're having a hard day, sit down and write a gratitude list out. And it's not that I think that those are not good things to do or suggestions. I just, again, sometimes gratitude could be a little bit confused with, there's another term, love it or hate it, toxic positivity. The idea that I should just ignore the pain or ignore the suffering or ignore, the state of things as they are, and that if I don't focus on what I'm grateful for, then I'm being negative, So I don't like the idea that gratitude is almost there could be a negative dark side to gratitude where it could be used as a way to cover up what's real or the real things that people go through, the real challenges, the real suffering. And so I want to put that out there that, there is a difference between toxic positivity and gratitude, and the idea that, something hard happens to you and that person or that thing that wants you to, well, this happened for a reason. And sure, like maybe there are reasons that things happen, but even if something happens for a reason, it doesn't negate the fact that I might still have feelings about it, or that it might upset me, or that there might be trauma attached to it, right? So I want to just set this out there, that my reframe of gratitude is that sometimes I am not very grateful. And having gratitude shoved down my throat just like makes me mad, and it makes me want to be like the opposite of grateful, which is just how my brain sometimes works, where it's like, I will now not be grateful. So I just want to get that out there, because I find that sometimes gratitude talk is a little bit too fluffy for me, and it is kind of irritating. And, if you know me at all, you know that I don't really put on a show of like, if something annoys me, I'm just going to come out with it. I'm just going to tell you. I am here to be honest with you. I've never been anything but honest with you. So, just putting that out there, that sometimes gratitude can be annoying. So now I want to get to the other part of gratitude, which is that there is scientific evidence that gratitude does help, like with depression and anxiety, and lift mood and all of that. There is scientific evidence of why one ought to practice gratitude and what gratitude does for our brain. So that's the part that I want to like shift this to, which is that gratitude, when practiced, has the potential to, shift our thinking, to shift our focus, to, reframe our minds. And I think that that is the important part of gratitude. And so here's what I want to say about it. For me, a gratitude practice is like having a yoga practice. I owned a yoga studio for many years. I still have a yoga studio. And there are folks who come to yoga once every little while. And that's fine. That's great. Come to yoga. Like if you can get to yoga once every few months, great. But what ends up happening is that when you take that yoga practice, it feels hard, or you feel really stiff, or you feel like, you can't do a lot of the things in there because, maybe it's just been so long, right? And so yoga can always feel hard, right? And I feel similarly about gratitude. Like if I'm doing gratitude as a one-off, like, oh, I'm having a bad day, I will sit down and write things that I'm grateful for. Like, I don't know that that actually makes me feel grateful personally. So what I'm getting at is practice, like the idea of yoga as a practice, gratitude as a practice, where it's not so much doing yoga to get better at yoga poses. It's doing yoga so that yoga becomes a part of like how I am in the world. It's more about practicing principles. And I know that when I do yoga more regularly, then it doesn't feel hard or like the first time every time. Because that's the thing, is if you do these things once in a while, then it always feels like the first time every time. And so there is almost this sense that like, well, yoga is hard, or practicing gratitude is hard. And it's hard because you're out of practice, right? Or if you go running, right, and it feels hard. Well, running isn't necessarily as hard if you're doing it every day, because your body is used to that. There's a muscle memory behind it. And the same thing with gratitude. There's a muscle memory that can be developed when we have a gratitude practice. And so that's actually really the difference that I'm seeing here. The difference between gratitude, have gratitude, be grateful, right? As a one-off, or as like a thing I do once in a while, and having a practice. And to me, a practice is more about, it's less about getting good at gratitude or being good at yoga, and it's more about being able to call in these principles in a pinchy moment. So here's where I'm at. I have a gratitude journal, and I'll be honest with you. I'm very specific about this gratitude journal. It's about this big by this big. If you're listening to this and not watching me, it's a small gratitude journal. I keep a small notebook. And every morning when I sit down, I pray, meditate, I read my recovery daily readers, and then I write out a gratitude list that probably has 20 things on it, right? The notebook is about as big as I could fit 20 items. And I'm grouchy, a little grouchy, especially in the morning. And I don't want to do any more than that. I don't want to be any more grateful than that. I'll just be honest. That's as much as I can muster, right? But, it is the practice. I make my ass sit down every morning and write out things that I'm grateful for. And sometimes the things I'm grateful for look like the same thing every day. Sometimes I can be like, oftentimes what'll happen is I'll reflect on the day that happened before and be like, oh yeah, yesterday, that person or that conversation or that thing that happened or whatever. And that gets on my gratitude list, right? So it helps me like jog my memory of like, what were the good things that happened? And why I think that this practice is so important, especially because my brain almost naturally gravitates towards negativity a little bit. This gratitude practice helps to retrain my thinking, helps to create new pathways in my thinking. So why I think a gratitude practice is important is because it is the practice, it is the act of retraining my brain to find what's good in my life. Because if I wasn't training my brain to find what's good in my life, I could get too heavily focused on what is not the way I want it. And so the practice of gratitude is about retraining my brain to find what is good, to find what's working, to find the okay things that are happening in my life. Because my default is perfectionism. And if things aren't perfect, if things aren't looking the way I think they should look, I could find a lot of fault in my life. And so gratitude practice helps me to retrain my brain. So for instance, here's something that happened once. And this again, like I've been doing this gratitude practice for probably a couple years now. Every morning I sit down and I write these 20 things that I'm grateful for. And again, it's being able to call this up in a moment, to sit down and like think about, like to retrain where I'm putting my gaze, my drishti, right? Like where am I putting my attention? So for instance, one day I had an appointment to go take my car to the mechanic because it was sounding funny the night before. So I got home, made an appointment for the next morning to get up and take it to the Nissan dealer. So on my way to the Nissan dealer, the car's still acting funny and I'm literally in the middle of a busy major intersection and my car stops. And it's raining and it's gloomy and people are going fast and my car stops in the middle of this intersection. And there's this moment of panic, but then because I was on a slight incline, the car continued to roll. And it rolled across the intersection and stopped right in the middle of the street, but on the other side of the street where it was much more calm. Car just stopped. Done. No more rolling. Okay. Whew. Had this moment of like, holy shit, what just happened? And then took a couple deep breaths and I called my roadside assistance. And I sat there and I waited for roadside assistance to come and pick me up and now take me to the Nissan dealership. So in this moment, I could tell you all of the things that went wrong. And yet, because I had a gratitude practice, I was so grateful that my car rolled to the middle of the other side of the street. Like that was the part that really stuck with me, was like, oh my God, thank you. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And although I felt sorry for myself and there were other things happening in my life at the time that exacerbated, like, why is this happening to me? I was so grateful that my car rolled to the other side. And that was the part that I just kind of like held on to, was like, I didn't have to like stop traffic. Nobody had to get out and push my car, or me push my car. Like I could tell you all of the things that I'm so grateful that did not happen because my car rolled to the other side, because I just so happened to be on enough of a slight decline where the car rolled across traffic. So that to me is why I have a gratitude practice, because in that moment I could have had a full on meltdown. And I'm not saying that I didn't. I'm not saying that I didn't sit in my car waiting for roadside assistance, crying and whimpering, but I was so grateful that my car made it to the other side. And that to me is why I practice gratitude. And I really keep like emphasizing that word, practice. I practice gratitude because in that moment, in a panicked moment, my brain was able to point out something that was okay. You are okay. your car made it to the other side, you know? And so that is why I think practice is really the key to gratitude. Like the gratitude itself, meh, fine, okay, sit down, write a gratitude list, fine. But that one-off gratitude list isn't necessarily gonna help you in a pinch recall the reasons why you're okay or where we could look for the good, right? And that is ultimately what I need and why I have to practice gratitude, is because my brain needs to be trained to look for the good. Otherwise, it is way too easy for me to get caught up in the negative. So I have a reading for you. I'm going to do a little reading. This is Courage to Change. It is one of my favorite Al-Anon daily readers. Each day is a different thing. And so this is September 20th. Okay, September 20th. Trying to follow a suggestion I heard in Al-Anon meetings, I dutifully wrote lists of things for which I was grateful. I listed such things as my health, my job, and food on my table. When I was finished, I didn't feel very grateful. My mind was still weighted down with the negative thinking that had resulted from living with alcoholism. But I had made a gesture, and the seed of gratitude was planted. The seed of gratitude was planted. I gradually learned to appreciate the small accomplishments of my daily life. Perhaps I was able to avoid a pointless argument by reciting the Serenity Prayer, or my sharing helped a newcomer, or I finished something I had been neglecting. I was beginning to change. I made a point of recognizing small changes, and my self-esteem grew. The daily application of Al-Anon principles helped me to deepen my sense of gratitude and replace those nagging negative thoughts. Eventually, I was able to go back to my original list and be truly grateful for those things I had taken for granted. Today's reminder: I need to nurture myself with gratitude. Today, I can practice appreciating myself, my world, and my higher power. So the two things I heard in there, very important for me, is that I can practice appreciating myself, because that to me is something I have to practice. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come natural. I just don't naturally go into appreciation. It's just, I don't know. And maybe you do, and that's wonderful, but that is not how my brain works. And then the part about the seed of gratitude, and that's why I think it's, what I'm getting at here is that seed of gratitude gets planted, and then we water it and we nurture it, and then in a pinch, when things are actually awry, it's possible our brain will, start to default to those places. And that's what I think is really important, is that we learn to retrain our brain. So then I have one other thing I want to read here. Okay, this is December 5th. I was sure there had to be somebody in this world who would understand my every mood, always have time for me, and bring a smile to my face. When that individual appeared, I'd finally have the love I deserved. Until then, I had no choice but to wait. Poor me, what a sad and lonely life I had. Then someone at an Al-Anon meeting used the word gratitude, and suddenly this whole scenario began to crumble. When I thought about how much I had to be grateful for, my fantasy showed itself to be no more than a shadow. Reality presented a different picture entirely. There were my friends, the child who comes to me with so much trust, the coworker who reaches out in friendship, the beloved alcoholic in my life, the Al-Anon members who hug me, talk with me, and encourage me. What was I doing with their love? It seemed to me I was brushing it aside for that one imaginary person, or worse, not noticing it at all. Today's reminder: if I can't recognize the love that already exists in my life, would I really appreciate receiving more? Let me acknowledge what has already been given to me. Quote, if the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice. And that's by Meister Eckhart. And that really resonates with me. I have this fantasy of finally finding the love and somebody who would love me, and oh gosh, I'm alone and lonely and all this. But it's true, if I can't count the love I already have in my life, would I even recognize more? And that is to me what gratitude does for me, is it helps me recognize what I already have, so that in a moment when things are not going my way, I can call in the good. And what's interesting, and I read this in another Al-Anon Courage to Change reading, but I couldn't find it in time for this episode. But what's interesting is this person was talking about how their sponsor had them write a gratitude list. Or no, their sponsor had them write a list of all of their complaints. And then a few days later, when they were feeling good, the sponsor asked them to write a gratitude list. And so then this person was going to put their gratitude list into a drawer and notice the list from the day before, which was the list of complaints, and realize that the same things were on the list. And that just makes me laugh, right? Because things that I can bitch about and complain about today are often the same things that I am grateful for. And really, they can make it on the same list. The same things that I could be in complaint about on one day could be the same things I'm grateful for on another day. You know, the people, places, and things that agitate me are also the people, places, and things that I love, right? Which is probably why I get agitated. So, you know, one other thing that I want to say about gratitude is that, you know, I think about this in terms of, you know, I'm in Al-Anon because I've been affected by the family disease of alcoholism. And one of the things that I've really learned from Al-Anon, and this is something that like took years, this is not something I ever try to shove down the throat of a newcomer because it seems weird and counterintuitive. But because of Al-Anon, I've become grateful for alcoholism. Like alcoholism, the struggle with another person's disease or whatever you want to call it is what brought me to my spiritual program. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I'd be. And so in this strange way, I have learned to find gratitude for alcoholism, for the alcoholics in my life, for my own addiction issues, because I have this spiritual program that helps me. So like that's an interesting like paradox. And that's what I think is interesting about gratitude is that gratitude, we could see the both and, you know, like, and that's what I think the difference between gratitude and toxic positivity is that with gratitude, there can be both and. I could be both stranded on the side of the road with a dead car and super grateful that my car rolled to the other side, right? Like both of those things can be true. And by being grateful for what is working doesn't mean that I have to ignore the fact that my car costed $1,300 to fix. Oh man, I feel like anytime I go to the mechanic, I go in for an oil change, but I'm expecting to walk out there spending $1,000. That's just been my experience. But I'm so grateful that I have mechanics who are honest with me. I'm so grateful. And that is something that has like really happened for me through the practice of gratitude in a moment, even when things are like, oh my gosh, face palm, why is this happening? That I could be like, well, at least these people are honest with me. And I'm so grateful that I have people that, you know, will help me. And like I could close my eyes and I could start to list off the things that are going right. And that is only because I have a gratitude practice. It's not because I practice gratitude one-off, because personally that wouldn't work for me. It wouldn't come to me in a moment of like, holy shit, what could I see here that is not all bad, right? So that's what I think the important thing about gratitude is. It's both and. I could see the world for how it is. I could see that there is suffering in my circumstance, and I could find what's working. I could see the good. So this holiday season, when people are, you know, challenging you with gratitude, you know, take the challenge if you want. And what I would really encourage is, what would it look like to have a daily gratitude practice? Like something simple, something that you could tie into your morning routine. For me, I have a morning prayer and meditation routine, so I put it right into there. Do I make other gratitude lists in the middle of the day? No. No, I do not. Do I sit down at the end of the night and write everything that I'm grateful for? No, I do not. And I'm not going to feel guilty about that. Like I do the gratitude list. And it's not because, like, I guess I'm trying to like formulate the words around this. I don't do it just to be grateful for those things. I do it for the sake of cultivating gratitude, right? It's just like the same with yoga. I don't do yoga to get good at yoga poses. I do yoga because it helps me practice principles in my life. It helps to keep my body in a place where I feel comfortable. It helps to create connection with my breath. I could list all of the reasons why I do yoga, and none of them are because I want to be good at yoga poses. I don't practice gratitude because I'm honestly even grateful for any one of those individual things, although I am. Just like I like yoga poses, just like I am good at some, there are some yoga poses that I'm good at, you know? And that's not the point. The point is that I practice because practice is really what helps me get through challenging situations. When I have these practices, it is much easier for me to recall on them or call them in when I'm in a moment of suffering or when I'm in a moment of challenge. That is when that's when the rubber hits the road. When I am in a downward spiral, that is when I need my brain to start coming up with some stuff we are grateful for, because it would be too easy to go down that road and it would be too easy to stay there. And gratitude helps me to come back. There are days when I'm like sad, or, I've had a really rough year. If you've been listening to my podcast, I've had a rough year. And there are mornings where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to be grateful. And I do it anyway. Because that's when I really need the practice. And so if there's one thing that yoga has really taught me, it's practice. It's not get good at yoga poses. It's not, whatever. It's practice, because learning how to practice yoga has helped me learn how to practice other things in my life. So if there's anything I could really offer you from this episode, it's, what does the practice look like? And is there a way to integrate this as a practice so that you can start focusing on what is good in your life? Even though there are things that aren't ideal, there are things that are good. And I don't know about you, but I have to train myself to see those things. So if you download the PDF, which I really highly recommend, especially if you're not already on my subscribers list, download the PDF and there will be some great questions for consideration, some things that you can just put in your mind, or maybe what would it take to develop this gratitude practice? Rather than just being like, I'm going to start doing a gratitude practice, maybe let's consider where you could put it in your day. And there are maybe pre-steps. And I like to think about what would I have to change around, or where would I have to readjust my life to make this happen sustainably? So anyway, if you download that PDF, those are some things that we'll talk about in there, some just questions for consideration, and just ways that you can start to, maybe reorient your brain to start looking for the good. And I hope that there was something in this practice, this podcast episode, also one of my practices, that helped you today, or that helps you to reframe gratitude, maybe in a way that doesn't annoy you like it annoys me. I just don't like being annoyed. It's too easy. But that's why I have a gratitude practice, because it helps me to reframe, right? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's see what we could actually excavate out of this. So with all that being said, we are going to take it to the mat. We're going to do a very gentle, simple yoga practice. If you've never practiced yoga before, this will be something that anyone can do. You don't have to have any special equipment. If you have a mat, great. If not, just do it where you are. And with that being said, I'll see you on the mat. Hello, my friend. Welcome back. It's now time to transition to our practice. I consider this practice embodied understanding. So it's a way to take what we've talked about in the opening share and apply it to our yoga practice and see how we can embody these principles. So today, the theme of this practice is gratitude, but more specifically, give thanks to every breath. Breath is something that happens so naturally, it's just a natural function of our bodies that we often don't stop just to thank the breath. So let's begin in a seat, a simple, easy seat. I've got one foot in front of the other. My ankles aren't crossed, just sitting really easy and comfortably. You could pull your booty out from underneath you just to make sure you have a good connection to the floor. And start by placing your hands on your knees. Lift your shoulders up to your ears, roll them down your back. And begin by noticing your breath. Without doing anything or changing anything. Notice the natural rhythm of your breath. The inhale and the exhale. The rise and the fall of breath. And in your noticing, make the noticing a form of gratitude. That by noticing your breath, by paying attention, You're bringing your attention and your energy to your breathing. And there's a way to be grateful for that. To call in a bit of gratitude. I read today that if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that would be enough. And so let's try that. Let's pair thank you with the inhale and the exhale. So just in your head, say this to yourself. With your inhale, say thank. Exhale, you. Thank. You. And just keep doing that a few more times. On the inhale, say the word thank. And on the exhale, you. And just take a moment, notice your body. Notice any sensations that you might be feeling. If there's any tightness or tension in your body, just take a moment and notice yourself. And we can both struggle with our body. Maybe there's some pain or tension, tightness, and we could still be grateful for our body, for what it does for us. Both can be true, both and. Drop your right fingertips to the floor. Tent your fingers right beside your body so that just your fingertips are touching the floor. Imagine you had a cupcake under your hand, so you're just tenting those fingers. Keep your left hand on your left knee and drop your head over to the left. And bring your attention to the stretch between your fingers, up your arm, up the top of your shoulder, and through your neck. Breath in. Breath out. Now put your whole palm on the floor. Reach your left arm over your head. Stretch your left fingertips over to the right. And maybe look up if that feels okay. Breath in. Breath out. And now bring your left hand down. Set your left fingertips on the floor beside you. Put your right hand on your right knee. And tent those left fingers so just your fingertips are touching the floor. And then drop your head over to the right. And after a couple of breaths, I like to just try walking my fingers a little bit further away just to deepen the stretch. And continue to breathe. Give thanks for every breath. Keep noticing yourself. Take an inhale. And exhale. Now ground your whole left palm. Reach your right arm up. Stretch your right fingertips over to the left. And you can look straight forward or you can look up, just depending on what feels good on your neck. Honor the body that you have. Breath in. Breath out. And then place both of your hands back on your knees. Drop your chin to your chest and take a few neck rolls from side to side. Move your neck and your head in a way that feels good to you. And now we'll take some seated cat-cows. Keep your hands on your knees. Pull your chin and your chest forward. Draw your shoulder blades in towards your spine. And now round your back, tuck your chin to your chest, lengthen your arms, and pull your belly in. And do that a few more times. And see how it feels to pair it with the breath. On the inhale, lift your chest forward, open up your chest. And on the exhale, round your back. Couple more. Now start to move in some circles. We're just moving the torso in circles. I like to pretend that I'm a spatula scraping the edges of a bowl. If you've practiced with me before, you've heard me say this. Just pretend you're scraping the sides of a bowl. And when it feels good, natural, and intuitive, switch directions. And you might find that it feels good to linger in one spot. If you find something that feels good, find what feels good. I even invite you to close your eyes and just allow the movement to be exactly what it is. And then gently make your way up to a seat. Open your legs wide into a V. Pull your booty out from underneath you. Start by putting your fingertips, again, tented fingers, right in front of you and see how that feels. That might be plenty. But if there's a little more space, walk your fingertips forward. For me, I could put my forearms on the floor, but that might not work for you. So you might just keep straight arms with your palms down. But also notice when you go too far by rounding your back to make it happen. I want you to keep your chest lifted and your shoulder blades in. So just notice how far you can go while maintaining the principle of the pose, the long, straight, lifted chest, rather than rounding or hunching forward. So just find what feels good, but also maintain the principle of the pose to lengthen the back body. Notice what you're feeling. Notice where you're feeling sensations. You might even try pointing your feet or flexing your feet and see if that creates additional sensation that you enjoy. And let's take a few thank you breaths. Now slowly lift yourself back up. Pull your right foot to the inside of your left leg. Turn and face your left leg and slowly slide your hands down your leg. Maybe you'll reach your foot. Maybe you won't reach your foot today, but just reach in the direction of your left foot. Slowly come back up. And now straighten the opposite leg and pull the left foot in. Slide your hands down your right leg, and you might reach closer towards you, or you might be able to reach your foot. It doesn't say anything about you. It's just the reality of your body today. Give thanks for every breath. And slowly, gently sit up. Now straighten both legs. Pull your booty out from underneath you. Reach your arms up over your head. Take a big full stretch. And slide your hands down your legs. Reach for your feet, even if you can't catch your feet. Just reach in the direction of your feet. Breath in. Breath out. And slowly sit up. Come to lie down on your back. Put your feet on the floor. Keep your left foot on the floor. Reach for the pinky toe edge of your right foot. Half happy baby. And if you can't reach the pinky edge of your foot, you can reach something closer and keep a bend in your knee. And if it feels good, you can stretch your leg out to the right. Do anything that you like here. Notice what you're feeling. Stay connected to the sensations of your body. And then slowly return your right foot to the floor. And now reach for your left foot, the pinky toe edge, half happy baby. And same thing on this side. You might take your leg out to the side or straighten the leg, anything that feels good here. And then put that foot on the floor. Supine butterfly. Bring the soles of your feet to touch and let your knees fall open. Place your hands on your belly. And take a few thank you breaths. On the inhale, thank. On the exhale, you. We'll come into a short shavasana. Lengthen your legs. Drop your arms by your sides. Draw your shoulder blades underneath you. Allow your palms to naturally rest up and your feet to fall out heavy. Let your fingers and toes be soft. Soften the space between your eyebrows. And take a moment to rest. Not because you've earned it or because you deserve it, but because rest is your birthright. Rest, much like gratitude, is a practice. For some of us, rest doesn't come easy. And so for that, we can practice. a breath in. And out. And gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. And circle your ankles and your wrists. And take a big full body stretch from front to back. Pull your knees to your chest, and if it's comfortable, roll over to your favorite side. And then gently come up to a seat. And bring your palms to touch at the center of your chest. And just take a moment and say thank you to yourself for making it to your mat today or making it to your practice. Pull your thumbs to the center of your forehead and bow your head towards your heart. In gratitude to you, my friend, I bow. Thanks so much for joining me for the Luminous Recovery Yoga podcast today. Don't forget to hop into the show notes or the show description and grab your free PDF about this episode and some things that you can consider and take into your own life. I hope that you found this helpful, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for listening to the Luminous Recovery Yoga podcast. If you'd like to support the show, please consider joining my Patreon or leaving a comment and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or YouTube.